The Great Animal Talent Show. One sunny morning, all the animals in the forest were buzzing with excitement. A big event was coming up, the Great Animal Talent Show. Every year, the forest creatures showed off their skills, and this year, the competition was going to be fierce. The prize? A giant golden acorn, stuffed with the finest nuts in the entire forest. Who wouldn't want to win that? Otto the owl was the judge for the show. With his wise, round eyes and his serious face, he looked like someone who would take his job very seriously. The animals couldn't wait to see who would take home the prize. The first contestant was Fiona the fox, who had been practicing her singing for weeks. She stood up in front of the crowd and cleared her throat. Ahem, ahem. I'll be singing the Ballad of the Stinky Skunk, she announced. The forest animals perked up. They'd never heard of that song before, but they were eager to hear it. Fiona took a deep breath and began singing in the loudest, most dramatic voice she could muster. Musical note: oh, stinky skunk, with your fragrant tail, you sniff up the forest, and make us all wail. You leave us gasping, and running away, oh, stinky skunk, please don't spray. Musical note: the crowd was silent. No one knew whether to laugh or cover their noses. Fiona finished with a big flourish, puffing out her chest. The animals clapped politely, but they were secretly glad they didn't have to smell the stinky skunk in person. Otto the owl blinked his big eyes and said, "Well, that was certainly unique, Fiona." Next up was Sammy the squirrel. Sammy had been practicing his stand-up comedy routine for weeks, and he was ready to make everyone laugh. He scampered onto the stage, took a deep breath, and began. Why did the acorn break up with the tree? Sammy paused for dramatic effect. Because it was falling out of love, he said, laughing at his own joke. The animals giggled. Sammy was so funny that even the trees shook with laughter. He cracked a few more jokes about nuts, leaves, and the occasional pine cone that had commitment issues, and by the end of his routine, the crowd was rolling with laughter. Well done, Sammy, Otto said, trying not to giggle himself. Then came Gertie the giraffe, who was very tall and had been practicing her limbo dancing. She stood on the stage, bent her long neck backward, and tried to twist under a bar that was set way too low for a giraffe. The crowd gasped as Gertie bent herself into all sorts of impossible shapes, her head nearly touching the ground. But there was one tiny problem: Gertie's legs were so long that every time she tried to bend under the limbo stick, she accidentally knocked it over with her feet. Oops. My bad. Gertie giggled, lifting her legs and setting the bar back in place. But every time she tried again, her legs would clumsily knock it over. The crowd roared with laughter, and even Otto the owl let out a little chuckle. Gertie's limbo was a bit of a disaster, but it was definitely the most entertaining disaster the animals had ever seen. Gertie, you may not have won limbo, but you've certainly won our hearts, Otto said, wiping a tear from his eye. Finally, the last contestant was Percy the parrot. Percy had an amazing talent: he could mimic any sound he heard. The animals were curious to see what he could do. Percy perched on the stage and squawked, okay, watch this. He flapped his wings dramatically. He started by imitating the sound of a buzzing bee, bzzzzzzzzzzzzzzz. He followed it up with the sound of a meowing cat, meow. Then, he did a perfect imitation of a growling dog, rrrr ruff. But when he tried to imitate the sound of a sneezing bear, things went a bit awry. Achoo! Percy sneezed so hard that he shot straight up into the air, flapping his wings wildly. Whoa! Not that high. Not that high. Percy squawked, flapping around in circles, flying straight into a tree branch, and then tumbling onto the stage with a dramatic thud. The crowd burst into laughter. Percy blinked and gave an exaggerated bow. And that, my friends, is the sound of a flying parrot. After all the performances, Otto the owl perched on his judging stool, stroking his chin thoughtfully. What a show! Fiona's unique singing, Sammy's hilarious jokes, Gertie's limbo, and Percy's flying antics. The animals waited nervously as Otto stared at them with his wise eyes. Finally, he spoke. Everyone was fantastic, he said. But, after careful consideration, I have decided. The winner is. The animals held their breath. Everyone, Otto declared, flapping his wings. You all brought something special to the show, and you made us laugh until our bellies hurt. So, in the true spirit of fun, we all share the prize. The animals cheered and danced in delight. They might not have won a giant golden acorn, but they had won something even better: laughter, friendship, and the best talent show in forest history. And so, the Great Animal Talent Show ended, with everyone agreeing that the best talent of all was making each other smile. The end.